bisexual, yada, yada, yada. But to me, it's really just my family and my friends categorized in a couple letters.
A lot of people think that A should be for ally. Personally, while I love allies and recognize that they are a vital part of the movement, it's a lot more important to represent asexual, aromantic, and agender folks first. And those are just the first three identities that start with A that I can come up with off the top of my head.
And so once you understand that, like, it's different, and so, like, you might like things that other people don't like me. I'm supposed to like only guys, but I like girls too because I'm bisexual. And so I think it's just, like, once you've gotten to know yourself enough and you do some research and you find out the exact term, and that feels a lot better because you know that you're not just, like, I don't want to say like a lost cause, but, like, you know what you are.
Well, in terms of sexuality, it's always been pretty straightforward for me. Like, would I mind this person kissing me? Does that seem in any way appealing? Would I want to have a romantic relationship with this person? And if the answer is yes, then that's how you know. That's how I knew.
I just know. When I was younger, I tried to do the whole I like boys thing that the other girls did, but I never really got what was appealing about love or romance or sex or any of it. And I didn't understand the stories when people went insane or died because of something to do with love. Like when we were reading Hamlet, I didn't get the whole part about Ophelia and what the hell was going on. I just didn't understand how love worked until it occurred to me that women were people I could fall in love with, and then it started to make more sense that love was an emotion that could get so intense.
I had, like, a major crush on Selena Gomez, which is really embarrassing. And also just, I never had a crush on a guy, ever. And I think my first crush was probably in, like, 6th grade on this girl in my science class. And I kept trying to, like, make myself like guys, and I'd pick a guy and I'd be like, I'm gonna have a crush on you, but it never really worked. And I think that's when I knew.
It would be like if you were like coming from, like, a different planet, but you didn't know what you were called, and then you did research and you found out what you were in that society, then, like, it's better because now you know what you are and you can put it like a name on it.
Well, the biggest thing about asking someone about their pronouns / transition is asking in a safe environment. Because if you're, like, sitting there and there's a person sitting 2 seats away from you within earshot, and they go, if I ever meet a trans person, I'm going to punch him in the face. And then you go, oh, by the way, I heard you're trans. What should I call you now? You probably shouldn't ask at that moment. But say it's just one-on-one. You're just chilling, and it's like, oh, by the way, what should I call you now? Or do you have preferred pronouns you would rather I use for you? That's good. That's completely, like, that is the best case scenario right there.
Well, in any situation where you're asking someone about their identity, respect is key. If you're, a lot of the time people want to talk about their experience so long as they're not asked about it in a way which would come across as threatening or which they might perceive as being threatening. And so long as the questions are not invasive or inappropriate. For instance, asking someone what genitalia they have or which bathroom they use, that's very rude, and those aren't questions that you should be asking anyone. However, asking someone which pronouns they prefer is perfectly respectful and often desired. I know that I would definitely appreciate someone whom I hadn't met asking me which pronouns I preferred, because it would ensure my safety in that space, and I would know that I would hopefully not be misgendered in that space because that person had gone out of their way to ask me about my pronouns. But there's a way to go about doing it. Like, you wouldn't ask someone, are you a boy or a girl? Because bias that's rude and enforces the binary. But asking someone which pronouns they prefer is a good way of going about it. Asking someone about transitioning, on the other hand, is more personal and could come across as invasive very quickly. So I think it's important to consider, or rather ask yourself why you're asking these questions. Are you asking them to ensure the other person's safety, or are you asking them for personal reasons? And if you're asking them without the other person in mind, then I wouldn't ask them.
For pronouns, if you can ask when you first meet them, that's the ideal. You can introduce yourself with your pronouns, which can make it easier for the other person to state theirs. If you're a teacher or other person who does icebreakers fairly frequently, you can include pronouns in name games and things like that. It's important to use correct pronouns for people because pronouns are, in sentences, placeholders for the name of the person.
So, I hadn't formally come out to my family. I have come out to my friends, but the biggest part of me coming out was to myself. For the longest time, I was in denial. I thought it was a bad thing because I've heard from people around me that being gay or lesbian or any of that sexuality that's not straight is bad. And I also saw it a lot in the media and on the internet, and I was like, I don't want to deal with this. So I forced myself to like this boy, and it wasn't real liking. I thought I did because I didn't want to be who I am today. And that's the most important part to coming out, is coming out to yourself.
I came out to my friends just sitting in a circle chatting, and I mean the topic just kind of came up and it felt right to say it then. My family was a different story. To my dad and my stepmom, I kind of waited outside their room for a little bit while they were watching a movie. I came in, I held a sign, just said, "I'm gay." They were loving and supportive of me, and I got Skittles. That's cool. To my extended family, it's hard for me to confront people. So I just sent them a letter, and they seem really supportive of it too. So I'm really lucky to have that kind of family.
I'm not currently out to my family. I've said some things in passing, and some things are probably obvious, but I never explicitly told them that I was a boy. And a part of me wonders if it's even necessary to do so. Because they know me, and they love me as a man, they just don't know it yet. And my coming out to them, my making a big deal about coming out to them doesn't seem like it would be necessary. Knowing my family, I feel like they'd be fine with it in the end, but I know that it would probably take them a long time to accept the fact that their child isn't the gender that they thought he was. And so I have full faith that they'll accept me when the time comes for them to know. I'm just not comfortable with them knowing at this right now.
One thing that I have learned from my mistake is that you want to do it in person. You want to tell your parents in person, and that's how I get to how I did come out. Most of my friends, as you know, it came out through Facebook. Not the best idea in the world, but I was so scared of coming out because my parents were they're Mexican, and so they were raised in the Catholic household and were very religious, and so I really never had the option to be worry-free and not have to be terrified that I'd get kicked out of my house or that they wouldn't want me anymore. And so I've always lived with fear being in the closet, and if I ever came out, that it was going to be worse than hell alone. And so when I did come out, unfortunately I couldn't say it to my dad because he died when I was young, when I was 9, so I never had the chance to tell him. But my mom found out because after about an hour after I posted a post saying about how I was gay and how I just couldn't live anymore just being in a closet and being trapped and scared and feeling ever so alone and having to fake every day and, you know, fake it till you make it, like one of my teachers always tells me in math class, because we never pay attention in that class. But every day was, I had to fake who I was. I had to change my personality completely just so I could cope with myself and not have to come out ever. And so it was a very hard time for me, but eventually I did type the words, I'm gay. I could hardly say in the mirror to myself. And once my mom found out, she was in tears. She was just crying because I went to a private Christian school for a long time. And so religion and pretty much religion was a big thing in the family. So, and since they were previously Catholic, they really didn't see a way to accept it. And so there was a lot of screaming and yelling, but I'm happy to say that I'm here now, and not a lot of people can say that.
Well, I identify as asexual, so anytime I tell somebody that, they always have to ask, what is that? And then after I explain, that means that I don't like the idea of having sex. I don't want to have sex with anybody. The person always gets this horrified look on their face. It just, how can you live without sex? I'm like, how do you live without eating bacon every day? I don't know. Apparently it's just something that I do. It's very frustrating to have that reaction almost every single time I say it.
Well, the most annoying question I get is because I'm pansexual. They like to think that I have sex with pans and kitchen utensils, cutlery, all this stuff, and I don't have time for that. They're not real people. Like, I don't get any affection from them. It's not like I'm having sex with a person. It's cutlery, and I don't. That's weird.
Well, first, I get asked about what my sexuality is, and they only really ask me if I'm gay or straight, and they don't consider like the other sexualities. So that kind of pisses me off because I consider myself queer.
But you wear makeup.
It's, do you have a vagina and a penis, or do you have one or the other, or like what's going on? And I'm like, it's none of your goddamn business. And I feel
Well, one thing that I get oftenly asked, I get asked a lot of these sexual questions, like, have you and your partner ever done this, or have you ever done this, and like, how do you know if you're gay if you haven't participated in anything sexually? And I really think it's surprisingly idiotic that people would think that you would have to go so far to do something sexually that you would find out if you're gay or if you're straight or lesbian or bi. And just really, I really don't like it because it's just very one-sided, and I don't think it's a worthy question to ask anybody.